The Galactic Empire's victory broadcast played across 1,000 star systems with all the pomp of a species convinced it had just crushed its greatest enemy. Trumpets blared, banners unfurled, and the Emperor himself, gleaming in gold that looked strangely like spray paint, proclaimed, "Earth has fallen." His tone strutted more than he spoke. Empire citizens cheered, assuming the strange blue planet with stubborn mammals had finally learned its place beneath their heel. None of them questioned why the footage behind him featured only smoke, static, and what might have been a confused pigeon. Across the galaxy, alien councils gathered to analyze the supposed triumph. The Vorthawks, scaly and smug, lounged on floating slabs that hummed with artificial gravity. Their general flicked his tail and chuckled at the sight of human infantry using what he called primitive combustion sticks. The Yelthari, insectoid and overly dramatic, waved their antennae in collective distress, insisting the humans they encountered were unpredictable, loud, and far too willing to bite things. But it was the Kalari, the psychic, translucent species, who sat silently trembling. Their leader stared into the void and whispered, "There is something wrong." They smile too easily. On the Empire's flagship, the Admiralty gathered for what they expected to be a celebratory debriefing. A hologram shimmered to life in the center of the chamber, a human woman with sharp cheekbones, dark hair tied back, and a mug of Earth-style coffee in her hand. She wore a military coat the color of storm clouds, and the expression of someone who had been tired since childhood yet still outperformed everyone in the room. General Helena Ward didn't look angry, nor defeated. She looked amused. "Greetings," she said warmly, as if inviting them to brunch rather than responding to an invasion. "Congratulations on your little excursion to Earth. Quite bold of you. Very adventurous. Gold star for effort." The room froze in collective confusion. This was not the tone of a conquered species. Helena took a slow sip. "I do hope you enjoyed your stay. I hear you broke a few monuments. Rude, but I'll overlook it." The Vorthawk Admiral snorted. "Your planet is dust. Do you deny defeat?" Helena tilted her head. "Oh, we definitely noticed the invasion. Can't miss something like that. But you know humans, we needed a moment to process. We're emotional creatures. Grieving, angry, hungry, usually all at once." She smiled, and for a fleeting second, several seasoned commanders felt a primal chill. The Kalari emissary actually stepped back. A junior insectoid, clicking nervously, attempted to re-establish dominance. "Our intelligence says your kind is fragile. You fight among yourselves, you fall to sickness, you build strange festivals involving pumpkins." "Yes," Helena said, nodding gently. "We enjoy individuality. And pumpkins. But you'd be surprised how motivating anger can be when directed outward instead of inward." She glanced at her watch, an old analog thing with scratches on the frame, and sighed softly. "Anyway, I won't take too much of your time. I know conquering planets is exhausting." Her politeness didn't soothe them. It sharpened them. Behind the scenes, the Empire's intelligence division analyzed human behavior on loop. Humans laughing while repairing broken vehicles. Humans crying during weddings. Humans rushing into burning buildings to save strangers. Humans holding signs that read, "Come at me," during protests. Their unpredictability didn't fit galactic psychological models. No species should be that reckless and survive long enough to build cities. Yet they had. And they had teeth, metaphorically, strategically, and in the literal sense that humans bit when cornered. On Earth, transmissions went dark for a single hour. When they resumed, Helena Ward wasn't alone. Behind her stood human soldiers with relaxed stances and unsettlingly calm eyes. They looked like tourists waiting for a bus, not combatants preparing for retaliation. "You assumed we were weak," Helena continued, lightly swirling her coffee. "Because we joke. Because we dance. Because we argue about sports. But do you know what humans do better than any species in this galaxy?" She leaned in, the hologram flickering like a candle. "We adapt. And when backed into a corner, we respond decisively." A Vorthawk commander spat, "Empty threats. Your home is gone. Temporarily inaccessible," Helena corrected with a pleasant nod. We evacuated before your ships even reached orbit. You thought you caught us sleeping, but really, we just didn't feel like waking up. She set her mug down. Now, here's the critical difference between us and you. You invaded Earth because you thought it was easy. But humans, we don't do easy. We do necessary. A soft ripple of static crossed the hologram as Helena pressed a command on her wrist. The star map behind her lit up with hundreds of red dots. Those are our ships, she said. Small, quiet, a bit dramatic. They've been parked at the edge of your territory for 6 days. We were waiting to see whether you'd attempt diplomacy or double down on arrogance. She offered a sympathetic shrug. Shame. Panic flared through the chamber. The insectoids chattered frantically. The Vorthawk bristled. The Kalari whispered, "This is the storm." Helena held up one finger. "Before you panic. Actually, no, go ahead. Panic is good. Panic means you understand the situation." She gave them an encouraging smile. "We aren't coming to negotiate. Not this time. Earth doesn't start wars. But we absolutely finish them." Her soldiers behind her straightened, every motion deliberate, synchronized, terrifying in its quiet unity. "For the record," she added lightly, as if discussing whether, "I recommended you leave Earth alone. But since you ignored that advice," she exhaled, and even through the hologram, it felt like the calm before lightning strikes. "We're on our way. And when we arrive, we won't shout. We won't boast. We won't gloat. We'll simply demonstrate why you should never mistake human kindness for weakness." The hologram flickered once more, shifting from soft blue to a deep, ominous red. "Transmission ends," Helena said gently. "See you soon." Her image dissolved, and in that instant, every alarm on the flagship screamed. Outside the window, points of light appeared. Dozens. Hundreds. Thousands. Human ships. Silent. Waiting. Watching. And moving closer. The Empire realized, too late, that they had not conquered Earth. They had awakened it. Panic rippled through the galactic empire like an unexpected cold wind. One moment, the flagship was wrapped in the quiet hum of superiority. The next, alarms wailed as thousands of human vessels pierced the darkness. They didn't decloak with dramatic fanfare. No flashing banners, no triumphant horns. They simply appeared, silent and precise, like predators who already knew the outcome of the hunt. The Empire's admirals stared in disbelief. Nothing about these ships matched the intelligence reports they'd confidently filed. Instead of clunky metal boxes, they were sleek crescents of matte black alloy, absorbing starlight as if swallowing it. General Helena Ward observed their panic from a command room aboard the lead human dreadnought, sipping from the same battered mug she refused to replace. Her officers worked around her with deliberate grace. Every step, every whisper, every glance was the choreography of veterans who had trained for this moment. Yet the tension wasn't fear, it was focus sharpened into something dangerously precise. Helena set her mug aside and walked to the main viewport, where the Empire's fleet floated in disorganized clusters. They were larger, more ornate, dripping with ego and unnecessary gold plating. Beautiful, perhaps. Practical? Absolutely not. Analysis? Helena asked. A young strategist, Lieutenant Morales, replied without looking up. Empire vessels forming defensive grid patterns. Sloppy ones. Looks like they assumed we'd open with diplomacy. Helena smiled faintly. I thought about it. But they weren't exactly courteous guests. On the Empire flagship, Admiral Zorak tried, and failed, to regain composure. He slammed his claws against the table. Open a channel. We will demand explanation. The hologram snapped to life. Helena appeared, arms crossed gently behind her back, posture relaxed. She looked like someone about to give a school presentation. The contrast was horrifying. Hello again, she greeted. I see you've met our travel group. I promise, they're housebroken. Zorak hissed. You trespass on Empire territory. Only after you trespassed on ours, she replied calmly. "We just wanted to return the favor. You know, good manners." Her sarcasm wasn't loud. It was soft, almost warm. That made it more terrifying. Morales subtly nudged Helena, whispering, "Their formation is fracturing. They don't know how to respond to non-hostile threats." "That's because humans invented passive aggression," Helena murmured back, then addressed the Empire again. "We're not here to destroy you, yet. First, we want a tour." Zorak blinked. "A what?" And just like that, the first wave of human shuttles descended upon an Empire industrial moon. Soldiers stepped out wearing relaxed expressions, scanning alien markets with curiosity and amusement. They tasted foods, browsed stalls, and asked for directions in polite tones. Empire citizens fled in confusion as heavily armed humans complimented their architecture or pointed gleefully at alien gadgets like enthusiastic tourists who forgot they were supposed to be intimidating. A pair of human engineers stood before a massive extractor tower. One of them whistled. "Looks unstable," she said. "If someone sneezed too hard, this whole structure might collapse." The Empire workers nearby backed away, shaking. Helena monitored it all, hands clasped behind her back, every move calculated. She made no threats, issued no ultimatums. Instead, she used disarming friendliness like a scalpel. The Empire didn't know how to answer a smile that hit a blade. A Kalari psychic approached Zorak in trembling silence. Their minds, they feel fragmented, chaotic, yet deliberate. They are thinking in parallel. They are planning something. Zorak snapped, "What are they planning?" The Kalari shook violently. "Everything." Meanwhile, Helena walked through her own ship, greeting crew members by name. Even in war, she knew the value of connection. Her soldiers carried humor as easily as weapons. She passed one who was taping a knife to a reconnaissance drone. "Explain the modification," Helena said. "It flies faster when it feels threatened, ma'am." She nodded approvingly. "Carry on." Back on the flagship, Zorak demanded answers. "You claim to seek dialogue, yet you infiltrate our territories." "We infiltrate nothing," Helena answered sweetly. "We walk openly. If we wanted secrecy, you wouldn't even know we were here." Her tone was so factual it made Zorak's chest tighten. She stepped slightly aside, revealing a star map behind her. Dozens of human ships were placing themselves into an expanding arc, forming a slow, deliberate pattern. "What formation is that?" an Empire strategist whispered. "A friendly one," Helena answered. "For now." Zorak's voice quivered with rage. "You dare threaten us after we conquered your planet?" Helena exhaled softly, the way someone might when explaining basic math to a stubborn child. "You conquered a decoy. A shell. A projection layered with misinformation. Humans have been relocated for years. We left an empty house for you to vandalize." The Empire chamber erupted in horrified chatter. "Your kind deceives with ease," Zorak accused. "My kind survives," she corrected. "And sometimes survival requires creativity." She leaned closer, her eyes steady. "You triggered a response we avoid at all costs: unity." Even aliens unfamiliar with human culture sensed the weight of the word. "Humanity only agrees when someone threatens everything we love," Helena continued. "You woke the part of us that doesn't negotiate. The part that remembers every wound, every loss, every betrayal." Morales projected new data to her interface. Helena studied it and nodded once. "Phase 1 complete," he whispered. She turned back to the Empire. "You've had your fun. Now we show you ours." Her ships shifted, each turning with eerie synchronization. The arc they had formed pulsed with low red light, illuminating the space between fleets. Empire vessels scrambled, engines flaring, but they were too slow to understand the pattern unfolding before them. Helena clasped her hands behind her back and spoke in a voice almost tender. "You think we're invading you," she said. "But this is still preparation. The real invasion begins when we stop smiling." Zorak felt cold dread bleed into his bones. "What do you want?" "Simple," Helena replied gently. Everything you took from Earth, and everything you fear we might become. The lights behind her flickered again, and as the space between the two armadas began to distort, curling like fabric pulled by unseen hands, Helena whispered, "Ready yourselves. Phase 2 starts now." The distortion blooming between the fleets did not look like a weapon at first. It resembled a ripple, soft, slow, almost beautiful, like a curtain of glass being tugged by invisible fingers. But as the wave expanded, the Empire sensors short-circuited, readings twisted into nonsense, and the void vibrated with a low hum that made every creature flinch instinctively. No Empire species had ever heard that sound before. Humans, however, recognized it immediately. It was the sound of intention. General Helena Ward stood at the center of the command deck, shoulders squared, her expression serene as the phenomenon unfolded. Behind her, the Ghost Fleet unfurled itself from shadow. Massive human ships that had remained cloaked for days, hiding in gravitational blind spots. The Empire officers choked in disbelief. The humans hadn't just arrived today. They had been here, studying, measuring, preparing. It wasn't an attack. It was an ambush so meticulously quiet it bordered on art. Morales approached Helena with a datapad, swallowing the awe he felt. Ghost Fleet fully decloaked. Empire scanners failed to detect even one ship. "I think we broke their understanding of physics." "We do that sometimes," Helena replied softly. "Humans like bending reality to prove points." On the Empire flagship, chaos ignited. Officers shouted over one another, scrambling to decode the energy signature. A Kalari psychic collapsed, clutching their head. Their minds are opening," they whispered through trembling lips. "They were closed before, unreadable. But now I glimpse the truth." "Speak," Admiral Zorak demanded. "They are calm," the Kalari said. "Terrifyingly calm. Not joyful. Not angry. They are choosing." Helena appeared again on their hologram feed, her presence filling the room with an unsettling quiet. She didn't posture or raise her voice. She simply spoke with that same maddening politeness. "Before we proceed," she said, "I want you to understand something crucial about my species. We don't enjoy war. Not really. Humans spend most of their lives trying to avoid it. But when someone forces a war on us, when someone threatens our home, our families, our existence, something ancient wakes up." She paused, letting the silence stretch just long enough to unsettle every heartbeat in the room. "Humans evolved on a planet that tried to kill us daily," she continued. "Weather, predators, starvation, each other. We learned to be clever. We learned to be relentless. We learned to survive by turning fear into strategy and pain into momentum." Zorak tried to snarl but found his throat dry. "You speak as if you are some mythical species." Helena smiled faintly. "We are small myths wrapped in soft skin. But myths don't die easy." As if punctuating her words, the Ghost Fleet activated its engines simultaneously. The formation shifted, creating a lattice of crimson lines across the void, thousands of beams intersecting in geometric harmony. The Empire fleet faltered, unsure whether these lines were threats or warnings. Humans were unpredictable enough that it could be either. A young Empire officer finally shouted, "Fire first! Strike while we have the chance." Zorak hesitated. Then fear drowned logic. "All batteries, fire!" The Empire's armada unleashed a storm of energy. Dozens of beams, missiles, and plasma arcs roared across space toward the human formation. Helena did not flinch. She did not blink. She simply whispered, "Shields." Human shields did not glow or shimmer. They didn't flare like Empire barriers. They bent space. Empire fire touched the distortion and veered sideways, redirecting back toward the attackers like angry serpents. Explosions rippled through the Empire's own front line. When the smoke cleared, morale evaporated. Morales glanced at Helena. "Do we strike back?" "Not yet," she said. "Let fear do its work. Fear teaches faster than weapons." Across the deck, a communication officer startled as a message from Earth arrived. a short clip showing children drawing ships and cheering. Helena's gaze softened for only a heartbeat. Those fleeting human moments, the ones aliens mistook for weakness, were the fuel behind her resolve. She turned back to the Empire feed. Your attack was predictable. Humans appreciate creativity. Let me show you ours. One by one, holograms flickered around her, human battles from Earth's history. Not propaganda, not sanitized footage. Raw moments. Citizens defending their homes from disasters. Firefighters running into collapsing buildings. Soldiers carrying wounded enemies to safety. Doctors in war zones stitching together strangers with hands too exhausted to shake. You invaded a planet full of people who get stronger when everything goes wrong, Helena said. You mistook compassion for softness. But compassion is our anchor. The moment you tried to take it from us, everything changed. The Kalari psychic whimpered. Their memories, they burn. Their grief is fuel. Helena nodded. Correct. Morales leaned in. Ma'am, they're requesting parley. Good, Helena said. Let them speak. Zorak's face reappeared, pale and strained. We miscalculated. Perhaps we can negotiate. No, Helena said gently. Negotiation is what happens before an invasion, not after. Zorak trembled. Then what do you want? Her answer was simple. Accountability. She stepped aside, revealing a final image, a network of Empire bases on Earth, glowing faintly. Their engines were powering something without their knowledge. Helena touched her wrist console. We left a gift for you, she murmured. A quiet one, hidden in your own technology. You studied us, and we studied you harder. The bases on the hologram pulsed. Zorak gasped. You, what have you done? Experimentation, she replied. You gave us access to your power grids during your invasion. We learned everything. The hologram zoomed out, showing energy conduits connecting through Empire territory like red veins. Morales whispered, They're beginning to understand. Helena nodded. They should. The conduits glowed brighter, forming an enormous pattern across star systems. A symbol. Something ancient. Something unmistakably human. A warning, not a boast. Helena looked into the camera, her voice quiet, almost tender. You haven't met human wrath yet. You've only met our preparation. The conduits reached critical brightness. She whispered, Phase 3 begins now. The moment Helena activated Phase 3, the galaxy seemed to inhale. Every Empire star map flickered as red veins pulsed across their territories, threading through communication towers, supply depots, power cores, and military installations with chilling precision. It was a network humans had built silently, using the Empire's own arrogance as scaffolding. The conduits brightened, forming a constellation shaped not like a weapon, but like intention. War had become art, and humanity was the artist. Admiral Zorak's voice cracked as he shouted, Shut it down! Sever the lines! Destroy the relays! But nothing responded. The systems had been quietly rewritten days earlier, during the Empire's victory parade when technicians were too busy celebrating to notice encrypted signals weaving into their infrastructure. The hologram of Earth's burning cities had distracted them. They had never realized humans were watching through the cracks. Morales stood beside Helena, monitoring thousands of readings. Their entire southern quadrant is destabilizing, he murmured. We could collapse their power grid right now. We could, Helena agreed softly, but fear teaches more than ruin. Let them feel the edge of their mistake. On the Empire flagship, the Kalari psychic gasped as the conduits glowed brighter. This is not destruction, they whispered. This is a boundary. A line drawn by warriors who prefer peace. Helena nodded once, though they couldn't see her. Exactly. The human fleet shifted, the ghost fleet moving into an elegant arc behind her command vessel. Their formation was not chaotic. It was deliberate, symmetrical, unervingly calm. Even without firing a shot, they projected the unbearable pressure of a force that had prepared every step before the Empire had considered the first. Empire soldiers trembled as the red light illuminated their decks, casting shadows like skeletal hands gripping their hulls. Yet no human weapon discharged. No missiles launched. The silence was worse. Zorak reappeared on the holoscreen, breathing hard. "Tell us your terms," he rasped. "We will bargain." Helena studied him with the cold patience of someone deciding whether forgiveness was tactical or foolish. "Terms," she repeated softly, as though testing the weight of the word. "When you invaded Earth, did you offer terms?" Zorak flinched. "You gave no mercy to children. You burned farms. You leveled cities and called it cleansing. So tell me, why should humanity entertain your requests now?" For a moment, the Admiral said nothing. His posture slumped. "We misjudged your species." "Everyone misjudges humans," Helena said. "It's our favorite survival strategy." Across the human bridge, quiet laughter rippled. Soft, dark, familiar. Humor was the knife humans used to stay sane while the world burned. Helena approached the viewport. Beyond it, the distortion wave grew sharper, carving streaks of crimson light through space. The red horizon was taking shape. It had been theory until now, an experimental human creation meant for last resort defense. But the Empire had triggered last resorts the moment they landed boots on Earth. Morales swallowed. "Ma'am, if we deploy the horizon fully, they won't recover. Their armies, their fleets, their stations, gone." "Yes," Helena said. "But our objective isn't genocide. It's remembrance." The communication officer turned pale. "They're sending another transmission. They request a personal negotiation. Their emperor wants to speak." Helena nodded. "Put him through." The emperor materialized, his golden armor cracked, the earlier bravado stripped to raw fear. "Human general," he said, voice trembling as he struggled to maintain dignity, "I propose a ceasefire. We will withdraw from Earth's remains." Helena crossed her arms. "Earth remains intact. You never touched our true cities. You destroyed decoys." Shock rippled through every alien officer watching. Even the Emperor faltered. Helena continued, "We evacuated our populations long before your invasion fleet entered orbit. We planted holographic cities, edible constructions, and misdirected heat signatures. You bombed illusions. You wasted your weapons on empty ground. Your conquest was theater." The Emperor staggered back. "Impossible. We saw fire." "You saw what we wanted you to see," Helena replied. "Humans are storytellers. We know how to direct a scene." Morales added quietly, "and how to end one." Helena faced the Emperor fully. "You asked for terms. Here they are. First, you will return every human prisoner. Second, you will dismantle every military outpost you built within 5 light-years of Earth. Third, you will provide reparations, not because we need your resources, but because the act will remind you who you underestimated." The Emperor stared at her, speechless. "And fourth," Helena said softly, "you will vow never to step foot on Earth again. Not as conquerors. Not as explorers. Not even as guests." Zorak shouted, "You cannot dictate such restrictions." Helena raised an eyebrow. "Can't I?" She gestured toward the red horizon, now fully awakened. "Your empire is staring into the mouth of extinction, Admiral. And humanity hasn't even fired a shot." The Emperor's breathing turned ragged. "If we accept, will you spare us?" Helena hesitated, not because she doubted her choice, but because she weighed its consequences carefully. Humanity did not seek domination, but neither would they ignore the cost of the war forced upon them. "We will spare what can still learn," she said finally. "But we will punish what refuses to." The Emperor lowered his head. It was the first surrender gesture he had ever made. But before Helena could respond, every console on both sides flickered violently. The distortion wave convulsed, expanding across space like a heartbeat gone wild. Morales rushed to her side. "General, something's destabilizing the horizon." It's reacting to an external force. Helena stiffened. External? From where? A distant point of darkness split open like a wound in the cosmos. Something emerged, ancient, enormous, a ship so vast it dimmed starlight as it moved. Empire officers screamed. Even Kalari psychics collapsed. Morales whispered, That isn't one of ours. The monstrous vessel turned toward both fleets. Helena stepped closer to the screen, her voice steady despite the dread spreading through her crew. Trace the signature. The technician's hands shook. It matches nothing in Empire or human databases. But, he choked. General, it's responding to the Horizon's energy. Like it heard us. The entity's surface rippled, revealing symbols older than either species, glowing like scars resurrected. Helena's pulse steadied into a cold, determined rhythm. Everyone brace, she commanded. The Empire thought they were our greatest threat. Her eyes narrowed. They were wrong.